Hello, and welcome to another episode of Gilded Shadows. Before we jump right into the next episode, I do want to bring up one thing really quick. So, um, the developer of the game actually left a comment on a couple of my videos explaining sort of how the trait system works and the impact that it has on gameplay. So I just wanted to touch on that really quick. And by the way, I think that is so cool. When game developers are really interactive with with the people playing their games and care enough to do things like that. Like I think that's so cool. Um, but anyway, let me see if I can find it in the comments here. Okay, so the choices don't influence the traits. Um, the choices that we make in the game don't influence the traits, and personality traits unlock different content and reactions to scenes. Oh, that's really cool. So, for example, Morgan might get angry at a situation if she feels emotional, or might have a more logical reaction if she's not. That is so cool. I'm really excited for that. And that gives the game a lot of replay value as well. Because, like, for anyone who's played, like, visual novels or otome games, I'm sure you guys have, like, the perfect example of how this can be horribly executed. Um, or something with really bad replay value is Oz Mafia. I hated that game. Let me just put it out there. Aside from the MC just being an idiot, I'm sorry. I don't know how else to put it. She is so. I mean, and the sad thing is like that game has great art. The art is beautiful, but aside from that, um, it's it has some serious issues, and one of those is the fact that you have to replay the game twice in order to get some additional scenes. And when I say replay the game twice, I mean replay a certain person's route twice. And and like if it was incorporated in the way that it sounds like it's going to be in Gilded Shadows, where the MC does have different responses based on different choices that you make and things like that, I think that would have been great. But it doesn't. It's a lot of the um, same stuff. So it's horrible. But I'm so glad that they're incorporating it in this way in Gilded Shadows. Okay, and then for the personality traits, they give an affinity boost with the LI. Let's see. But we can still get the good ending without the preferred traits. Okay, cool. I just wanted to check that really quick because, like I said, I do think it's great when the developers care enough to comment like that and to explain things. I mean, um, it makes it such a more engaging experience. But now that I've babbled for I don't know how many minutes, let's go ahead and jump right back in. Ah, Ari didn't return the smile. That sounds familiar. We all require the usual amounts of sleep, though we often get somewhat less than that. Why do you ask? Never mind, I guess that joke was only funny if you were there. Look how pained Morgan looks. Oh my gosh. He gave me a confused glance but said nothing. At first, I thought Ari was sort of just playing hard to get with MC, like not, well, I shouldn't say hard to get, but that he wasn't really receptive to her flirting. But now I think it's actually that he just doesn't necessarily understand. But let's see. We passed from the narrow infirmary halls to a much wider corridor with high ceilings. It was beautiful and strange. I felt out of place in it. It was too grand, too big for me, all of it. The soft echo of our footsteps followed us as we walked through the empty hall. I passed a hand over my eyes again, keeping my gaze fixed on the floor. Are your eyes bothering you? Why do you ask? You've been rubbing them periodically since walking. I wasn't sure I wanted to tell him. In the first place, it wasn't as if something was wrong, per se. I didn't want to make a big deal of it, then have him take me straight back to my room. They aren't really bothering me. Is that so? They aren't bothering me at all. Happy? There's no need to be irritated. I'm merely concerned about you. There's no need to be concerned about every little thing I do either. I took a deep breath, shutting my eyes. I'm sorry. There's also no need for me to. Oh, geez, I'm sorry, that's not Ari. That's Morgan. I'm sorry. There's also no need for me to snap at you. I do like how she apologized there. Um, it was giving me a little bit of Nora vibes, which I do love Nora, but I mean, she definitely has some sass to her. I'm glad that Morgan seems to have a lot of self awareness, even if she does have those more emotional responses. It's understandable that you're anxious. You needn't apologize. And if something about your eyes is bothering you, there's no need to hide it. I don't want you to panic and rush me back to my room. I don't intend to panic. Oh my god, these two. No, I can't imagine you panicking or smiling. Oh, I I'm sorry. I'm gonna cut the commentary off here. He simply looked at me. Or changing expressions at all. The place I wanted to take you is just ahead. And now Ari looks pained. I bit back a smile. Looked like he could at least get occasionally exasperated, with enough teasing. Ari was referring to a wide open doorway at the end of the hall. When we reached it, he gestured me through. I found myself in a cozy lounge with chairs, tables, and a full window that ran the length of one wall. There was a small gallery, though it appeared to be empty. I was drawn to the window through a swirl of apprehension, or though a swirl of apprehension bloomed in the pit of my stomach. I wanted to see it, but I was suddenly scared as well. The thought of looking out and seeing the undeniable skyline of Brazil made this all seem so final. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Brazil, also known as Endgame City. Brazil is home to Cor Solaris. That's right, they went over this last episode. The megacity is home to a large population of people from all over the planet, despite being notoriously difficult to relocate to. It enjoys the close protection of Endgame, but also is the epicenter of occasional unrest when people are unhappy with Endgame's decisions or actions. It is a politically neutral and unaligned city-state that has trade agreements with most other places on the dayside. Even so, its culture is known to be quite insular, and it can be difficult for outsiders to carve out a place for themselves. Well, that makes sense, because it sounds like pretty much the whole population are like employees of Endgame, so hugging my arms to my body, I went to the window anyway. We were up pretty high, and the sprawling grounds of the complex spread out beneath us. Nearby was a tower that was also familiar, though I'd never seen it in person, only in news reports and other media. I had to crane my neck to look to the top. It was beautiful, all of it, and it was not home. I kept tight I kept a tight grip on my elbows, unsure of what to feel. There was a cloud of mixed emotions to sort through, and I didn't even know where to start. I don't suppose I'll be leaving here soon and going home? No, I'm afraid not. The council is unlikely to permit you to leave the grounds for quite some time. Going home is not an option. Ever? There was a lengthy pause. No. I'm sure you realize there is no opportunity for you to live peacefully outside of Endgame. Not anymore. He joined me at the window looking out at the city. It would have been better if they found you as a child so you could have been enrolled in our academy. We rarely recruit adults from the outside like this. Can you call it recruitment if I wasn't given another opportunity? You aren't the only Esper for whom there were limited options. Well, thanks, Ari. Thanks for the show of empathy. I looked away, trying my best not to sulk. He was right, of course, on all accounts. What would I even do if they permitted me to leave? Go home and wait for the next people to pluck me off the street or worse? What about my family, my parents? Do they even know where I am? Your parents were informed that you were in our care when they and your other family members were relocated. My family was relocated? Relocated? What? It's merely a precaution. We aren't certain they were in any danger. Why would they be in danger? because targeting the family of one of our highest ranking members would give an enormous amount of leverage against Endgame. Most of us come here as children. Information about our families is highly protected so they can continue to live normally, no matter what position we obtain here. But your identity was known to many people before we even became aware of you, and that means your family was known as well. We thought if we could take you without others realizing who you were, it would reduce the possibility of retaliation against your family. There would be no point to go after them if you were taken by a group unlikely to be swayed by their being in danger. It hadn't even occurred to me that retaliation against my family was a concern. Morgan, I didn't even think about that either, so don't feel bad, girl. We'd hoped to have time to look into methods of protection that didn't involve relocation. But things didn't go as planned, and our involvement was made apparent. That's why, for their safety, we've moved your family to Afra and changed their identities. Oh, okay, it looks like I'm pronouncing that correct. Afra. This is one of the nations that make up the Triad, a conglomerate of nearly 30 domes, 4 of which are megacities. Though large by comparison to other nations, it is still smaller than New Albion with a population of only 96 million. They are not as related as Cirne, but not oh, sorry, I totally misread that. They are not as relaxed as Cirne, but not as strict and meritorious as New Albion, falling somewhere in the middle. Changing their identities? Do you even understand what that means for them? It was the one thing in my life. It was one thing for my life to be upended, but another for them. Dad could manage, but what about Mum? Could she keep painting? Oh, that's so cool. Our mom is a painter? Her work was well known, so she had to hide her identity. I buried my head in my hands. No, no, no. This wasn't supposed to happen. None of this was. Can I found it difficult to speak again, against the lump in my throat. Can I talk to them? I don't believe you'll be able to contact them yet, but we will look after them. This was so stupid. I was stupid. I had hidden this all for so long, and because of that, Mom and Dad were uprooted, moved elsewhere. And what about Brian and Danielle? Oliver would probably be fine on Sierra. Wayne was with the safety department, so I imagined he would take it all in stride. Are those her brothers? Does she have two brothers? I think we've read this. Hang on. Yeah, we read this at the very beginning of the common round. But Daniel had just gotten engaged. Brian was still studying. This was a mess. I'd ruined things for everyone. Morgan Leon. I jumped when Ari said my name quietly. Why are you crying? Nothing, it's nothing, I'm fine. Are you certain? Perhaps we should have a counselor stop by your room later. Yeah, that maybe that would be a good idea. A counselor wouldn't be able to change any of this, but talking to someone who didn't act like he couldn't even comprehend why I'd be upset might help. Oh, Ari wasn't exactly making much of an effort to reassure me, but then I guess that wasn't his job. And what would he have said anyway? Words wouldn't change the situation, it wouldn't fix the fact that everything I'd built up until this point had just crumbled away. Perhaps that was why I didn't bother to try. Still, a part of me wanted to hear that it would be okay. I stared outside at the gorgeous day. For the first time in my life, I couldn't see the path ahead at all. There were no classes to focus on, no exams to think about, no goals to work towards. There was only bleak uncertainty. After a very long silence, I felt a warm hand on my shoulder. I am sorry, Morgan. I looked up at him gratefully. It wasn't much, but I appreciated the gesture. Here they are. We were interrupted by what looked like a nurse standing in the door calling down the hall to someone else. Oh, Caleb 2.0 is back. Within seconds, another man appeared. He wore a white coat like a doctor, but was disheveled, with hunched posture and dark circles under his eyes. He also looked more than a little annoyed as he came walking towards us, tapping into a handheld display. I shot Ari a sidelong look. Dr. Sasaki? Correct. Figures. How strange. I don't believe I signed a release on this patient. But you would never take one of my patients without prior approval, would you? He didn't take me anywhere. I asked to go for a walk. The man didn't acknowledge what I said, but as soon as he was in arm's reach, he tucked the display into a large pocket and caught me by the chin, lifting my face slightly. Excuse me, remove your hand, sir. You may be a doctor, but that doesn't mean you can just grab somebody like that. The patient has excess lacrimal fluid on her face. Is that the scientific way of you saying she's crying? Tissue around the eyes is swollen, blood vessels in the eyes and conjunctiva appeared enlarged. Are you experiencing emotional distress? Oh my god, I feel so bad for Morgan right now. Excess lacrimal fluid was. Why is everyone here so weird? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and end things here. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to end a little early for this. But yeah, I feel so bad for MC. That's about all I can say right now. Anyway, I'll be back in the next episode. Thank you.